Welcome, everyone, to the American Society of Dowsers focus group on energy dowsing and space clearing. And we are here on our November 20th meeting. We were hoping to have Patricia Jordan join us and make a presentation on geopathic stress lines. But as sometimes happens, things come up or people forget that there's a call this evening. Hard to believe. But so we will carry on using our mastermind format in which everyone has an opportunity to speak about some of their recent wins and activities, or bring up any questions that they might encounter. So would anyone, Barbara, would you like to begin tonight and just give a little report on some of your activities and what you're working on, and any thoughts or new insights that you've gained?
Well, the last one was with the fracking lines. The fracking that had occurred in Colorado, 2 miles from my client's house. And she reported that actually a lot of people in the neighborhood got very ill when they started doing the fracking. And that they got nosebleeds, they got migraine headaches, they got nausea, like almost flu symptoms. And of course, the people who own the fracking enterprise said, no, that's not from the fracking. But I mean, a lot of people in the community got sick when they started doing that. Now the drilling part that they're doing is over. So, you know, that has, that's not as bad. And then my client also said, well, does that affect the water? Well, yes, it can affect the water. And so she's thinking that she will either go to bottled water or go to an RO system. And I told her if she went to an RO system to make sure she added the minerals back in, and then she's got to do something to bring the charge of the water back. Whether it's through dowsing, you know, like Raymond's method, which would just be putting your pendulum over a pitcher of water and saying increase the life force and vitality of this water, you know, to the highest appropriate amount. So she's going to do that. But when I doused the lines she had 3 fracking lines that went through her bed, the lengthwise through her bed. And it was real clear where they were. I'd never done it like through FaceTime, but you know, she was able to show me where her bed was and where the floor was, and I could almost see where the lines were. So it was actually easier than I thought to actually place those rods, and then I would wait for my pendulum to say, yes, that's the spot, stop, you know. So it was just very interesting to do it via FaceTime. I usually do map dowsing, you know, so I'm not looking at the client or looking at the
Barbara, do you always use a pendulum?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, if I was in a room, I'd use my L rods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know what I will do, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I'll do when I place this rod is I'll say, I'll say, is this rod accurately placed to cure this geopathic stress
Right.
line?
Okay.
Would it be beneficial for me to move it to the right?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll go yes, or to the left, yes, or not, or it won't do anything. If it doesn't go anywhere, then it's properly placed.
Right.
But then if I get right, if it goes, would it be beneficial for me to do it to the right? And it goes yes. I say, how many inches to the right? And it goes 1, 2, or
Okay.
it'll go 1, or it'll go, usually it does and sometimes if
Yeah.
I'm really feeling accurate, it'll go 1.5.
Hmm.
It'll stop in the half, and I'll know
Right.
it's, and then I'll just move it over that part, and I'll say, does this more accurately cure the geopathic stress line? Yes. Is this properly cure the geopathic stress line? So
Right.
I mean, uh, for some type of accurate placements,
Right.
that's how I do it anyway.
Right. Right.
And you may have a different approach.
Right. Right. If I'm actually in the room, I use my L rods because I figure that it's a little bit one to identify the line, and
Yeah,
I did the center of the line.
right.
I usually do what's the first edge of the line, what's the second edge, what's the center.
Mhm.
But when I'm waiting for like accuracy, like okay, and guidance would say move it 2 inches to the right, you know.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, you have a different approach then.
I move 2 inches to the right, and then I would have my pendulum right there, and I would say when this rod is exactly in the placement that it needs to be to neutralize this geopathic stress, give me a strong yes.
Okay.
And what's interesting for my dowsing, and I know a lot of people say use the tool. My gut registers the yes before my pendulum says yes. Is
Now,
that
well, that's great. That's great. That's great that you're that sensitive.
Yeah, yeah. And I listened to, did everyone get Susan Collins' recent video that she sent out?
No.
Oh, okay. It was an interview that she did. And it was interesting because she said apparently she was sick for a long time. And she said that she now asks the tool to register everything because she doesn't want her physical body to register it. You know? So I thought that was very interesting. It's like tool takes the hit, not my body.
Nice.
But my body has always done okay, that's the yes, that's the no.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Well,
But
great. Well, I'm glad that apparently has been effective.
right, right, right.
So that's good. That is very good. Now, is she going to have her water tested?
You know what? I don't know if she's going to have the water tested because in Vermont, and you may know do more about this than I do because you live in Vermont, but I had a client who had radon in the soil,
Yeah.
and their water tested pretty high for radon. So they actually had to do a radon mitigation for their water. And the fracking does so much to the water lines that are the water tables that they're impacting. So she said she has a very acute sense of smell. She said she could smell the water not smelling right
Mhm.
during that time. So that's when she decided she was only going to drink bottled water, and they put a filter on their shower.
Okay.
So I don't know what she's going to do to filter the water or if they will test it. It would be interesting to test it to
Yeah.
see what's in that water, So,
Yeah. Well, I know
but
Raymond Grace, of course, said that he had somebody in Canada
mhm.
who he went to visit, and they had him. He had arsenic in the water.
Yeah. We
You
we've
heard
had,
that one? Well,
well, we had arsenic
and
but trace, and I guess that's not uncommon.
well, a trace is like it's not. You can have up to like 10 units per something, and
Right.
this guy had like 45 units. And so Raymond said, well, let me see what I can do. And then he changed all the arsenic into pure water. And then the guy had his water tested, and it was 90% of the arsenic was gone. And
Wow.
it kept going more and more and more. And pretty soon his water was, I mean,
Amazing.
it's amazing what really can be done if we think we can do it.
Right.
Well, it's the intention always, you
Well,
know?
and, yeah.
I
So,
went to the shop once when, well, I don't know if Vermont still does this, but when I lived in New England, Vermont used to sponsor the Crop Circle Conference. And so I went to one of the Crop Circle conferences, and one of the guys had a special day workshop after that in Vermont. And we were in the top of this building, and he wanted to teach us about water and about power centers with water and the vortices that happen with water. But there was no power center or water in that room where we were. So he actually called up the water spirit and found what he wanted, just outside the building, and asked it to move its energy into our building so he could teach us what that felt like. And he did.
yeah.
I feel the difference energetically. And then he spent the whole day teaching us about the water and the water power centers and the vortices and how it changes and what it does to your energy field if you're over water. And then at the end of the workshop, he said, thank you very much to the water spirit, and said, okay, you can go back to your home spot. And you could feel all that energy leave the room. It was amazing.
Where was that exactly? Was it up in Danville?
Where was the shop? I think the workshop, I think the crop circle thing was in Danville.
Yeah.
And I can't remember where he did, I want to say it was Freddie Silva, who did the book on crop circles. But it was just an amazing experience it's like, wow. So when Raymond says, oh, I did this, it's like,
Of
okie doke.
course.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
It is.
Well, Barbara, thank you very much. And Betsy, have you had enough time to figure out something to talk about?
I'm not sure. Other than the normal migraine clearing, and I was trying to think of something unusual, but it's all been pretty much routine, along with lugging wood and building fires and shoveling snow. There really hasn't been. There's a woman with a lot of her arteries have. This has been amazing to me, and I'm waiting for her to have another scan, because her legs were. The doctor said she was 100% blocked. Her arteries were plugged, and 100% in both legs. And so I dowsed it out, and I got 97 on one and 98 on the other. And working with her today, she's been doing turmeric. She's had a lot of energy work. Curcumin, I think, was another one that she was using, but she's getting regular healing touch, and and she broke her ankle, or her ankle broke and she fell, so she had to have some major surgery, which laid her up, and she's been housebound and very quiet for 2 months. And today, when I, with a pendulum, scanned her legs, a couple months ago, one was 50% clear, 40% clear, and the other one was 70% clear. And I'm having a hard time. I'm waiting for a scan to support that. But today they're both 85.
Clear?
Clear.
Wow.
And I'm trying to figure out if, the fact that her whole lifestyle changed with this break, and there's some thought, she feels like maybe the ankle broke and then she fell. Because she'd been having some issues with an ankle, but she didn't take it into a doctor and have it checked. But the pendulum said, I think you're right. I think it did break and you fell. She had a horrible fall and a very bad break. But it gave her a night and day difference in her routine. and her daily routine, and she's resting and she's doing good things.
Wow. Well, good. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
more to be revealed. And the same with a gal who had dead water, and I got her to, I didn't think about adding elements to her water. She's drinking spring water instead of the filtered water, but she's doing a whole lot better. So we'll see how that one progresses. But I think they're the unusual ones.
Okay. Good.
So that's it from Vermont.
Well, excellent. Okay. Well, I have been doing more dowsing of late, which is always good. And I have I basically do a dowsing and space clearing. And I found that my space clearing work is more powerful than my dowsing work. Now, I've only, in terms of raising the energy frequency of the location. And so I do the dowsing work because not that many other people do find the geopathic stress lines, the positive and negative vortexes,
Right.
cure all that stuff. And that in and of itself is a big help to the home or structure where this is happening. And I try and look at the home as like a living being. And so it's a benefit in that regard. And then I've been doing some of the, I've always done the space clearing where I relieve the property of entities. And but I've sort of combined my technique and a new one I've learned, and then I've tried to incorporate some of Raymond Grace's approach a little bit. And so it's a very effective getting rid of earth energy as well as and so these are actual energies or entities which have come up from the earth, inside the earth, which I encounter, and then normal entities which I encounter, which are entities like thought forms, emotional forms, and I suppose you could say beings from another planet or whatever else that have gotten messed up around here. And so I have a technique for clearing both of them, sending the earth entities back into the earth, to the place where they can continue their evolution and where they're best suited to expand and operate and continue their evolution. And then, of course, the other entities to go to a different realm, different dimensions, where they can do this, where they can do the same things. So I've done more of that lately. And then I've tried a little bit of the Raymond Grace clearing of emotional patterns and limitations that people have developed in their own psychology and consciousness. Because when I went to his seminar, I was very impressed that he just basically went through an entire protocol of, are you a victim? Do you have a victim mentality? Well, how many people here have a victim mentality? Well, how many what percentage is that? Okay, well, let's get rid of that. Okay, that's taken care of. Now, is anybody else? That's done. Okay, then it went on to the next like psychological problem or emotional or mental or limitation problem like that. And he just cleared, basically defragged everybody in the thing. And you know, a lot of the people that I encounter in dowsing, yeah, they like the dowsing. Yeah, they like the dowsing. Yeah, they're not quite as enthusiastic as I am about it, but they are enthusiastic about. They want to feel better. They want to progress in their lives. They want rid of all these problems that they have. They want to be happier people and less uptight and, you know, less screwed up, so to speak. And so, you know, I'm thinking that that's probably the next direction I'm gonna go is do more of that, because that's what people want. People want to be sort of like healed physically, healed mentally, emotionally, you know, get rid of all these problems that they have. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it for the moment.
I still use a lot of the Raymond Grace, you know, because I studied with him when he was first starting out. He came to Boston and did a big workshop for us for the American Society of Boston Dowsers.
Okay.
And he was so funny because, you know, at the time, I don't know what he wears now, but, you know, he had his tight jeans on and his cowboy shirt, and he had this giant Bowie knife strapped to his side. And he came in and he said, I was really afraid to come to New England because I figured they'd string me up. You know? He was just so funny. But everyone, of course, loved him. And we spent the weekend with him, with his workshop when it first started. And I actually was one that suggested he write up some of this stuff, you know, because it was like he had nothing written up. And so I wrote up like his water clearing from my notes.
Yeah.
Said, is this okay, Raymond? You know, can I use this and share it with people? And he said, sure. Can I have it?
Yeah.
Because I had written it up. But I use a lot of his language because his language was so clear.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm doing dowsing, it's like I'll often say, clear, remove, and extract. So that's some of his language, you know. And then when I'm doing entities, I add all the stuff he did. So it's like you clear, remove, and extract the entities, dimensional beings from above, below, to the side worlds, beings from the hidden worlds, beings from the lower realms, you know, the lower earth. And it's like then non-beneficial ETs, because you want the beneficial ones, right?
Right.
So and I had a real issue with reptilian energy, so I always try and clear that as well. But I'm always sending them to source. So I send everybody to source because I don't know where they need to go. So
yeah,
it's just like send them all to source where it's all transmuted, you know, to its own highest good. But in all the clearings that I do, it's like, it's always a lot of his language because he was so clear.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting. So,
and it's effective, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well,
it's really interesting.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, you were fortunate to you know, I heard him the first time last was it this year? This year, I think.
Wow.
So, you know, well, interesting. Well, now, continuing on, here is my thought for our focus group. With the holidays approaching,
mm-hmm.
and with me now having been roped into the nominating committee, which is going to be a lot of meetings and
right.
and stuff like that, I am thinking that we would probably well, I think that maybe the best bet is for us just to suspend
Mm-hmm.
our focus group for the time being, and with no predetermined date to resume it.
Okay.
I figure if we decide that we want to, we have each other's contact, and we can stay in contact if we have any questions or anything comes up. I'm going to Jamaica in January for almost, half the month. So
Nice.
Poor
January
fellow.
isn't good.
I'm
Yeah,
really sad for you.
I know. I know it's a rough go, but so I'm thinking that maybe we have uh, accomplished, at least temporarily, for the time being,
Mm-hmm.
what we need to accomplish for each other
Mm-hmm.
at this time. Obviously, we didn't have a big. Our presenter didn't even show up.
Yeah.
She's
No.
going to feel badly.
Well, and I don't want her to feel bad about it, but it's just sort of like the time is now to suspend our focus group, and we can always check with each other if there's an enthusiasm for
Right.
getting back involved in it, or maybe something else will present itself. Did I mute somebody out?
No, Barbara, there you go, in and out. It's been very interesting for me because not coming in as a dowser and hearing your language, Barbara, you've added a lot. I mean, everyone has added a lot. I've appreciated this so much. I don't know that I have contact numbers for folks if I had questions, other than the email perhaps that you send out maybe has everybody's on it. Is that right?
That is correct. That's correct.
Okay.
I don't think I've masked the
Right.
our email contacts so that everybody
Great. Thank you. It's been really worthwhile for me, and so I thank you, and I hope we can continue when people take a couple months off.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I was thinking that I would reconvene it at a particular time, but I'm sort of thinking that maybe we've done it for the time being, and let's see what new directions present themselves for each of us. And
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Yes.
What do you think, Barbara?
It's been wonderful. I think so too, because like right now I'm like, like I'm in the position of, okay, how am I going to continue this work? Or is it just going to be kind of I follow up with old clients and not really take on new clients, because I kind of want to do some other things in my life. So so for me, it's like I've studied with so many of the great people. I mean, really, I have. It's just been such a privilege, and I've learned a lot from all the people in this group as well. So, but I'm certainly at a point of going, okay, do I continue? Do I not continue? Where am I with all of this? What's it going to look like in the future? So,
well, where are you going to go? What's your thoughts on that, Barbara?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you reach a point and it's like, I have so much knowledge about so many things, about the earth, about all the earth energies, about mediating them. So, and I'm also a writer. So it's like, do I spend some time writing? Because I don't really want to do the whole internet and having people, blind, you don't know who you're getting into or where you're going or anything with it. So I just haven't decided how to do that. I'm not really an internet person.
Yeah.
Hire somebody to do it,
Right.
I just like the dowsing and the interaction and figuring, it's like a puzzle. You want to figure out what's happening there energetically and then how to help people make it a better place. But I'm also an artist, so it's like I want to get back into my art as well. So it's a little bit I don't know yet.
Okay. Yeah,
but
well,
it's
there are other directions and interests and stuff
right,
like that.
right, right.
I sort of look though at this activity as making the world a better place.
It is definitely. I always say I work with a lot of realtors. That's who my prime people have been. And I always write a note at the end and I say, thank you for healing the earth one home at a time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because
It's true.
that's what you're doing, is raising the vibration of a property one home at a time. And then that impacts all the properties around it, So
And then, if enough of that raising activity occurs,
right.
then the whole planet starts doing better.
Lighting up, yes.
And then at some point, the world becomes a better place.
Exactly.
So I'm
I
sort of
don't.
looking at it in that,
Right.
how else am I going to help people out?
That's like, where's your, it's the same thing for me. It's like, how do I contribute? With this knowledge base now, how do I contribute?
Yeah, well, there certainly may be better ways. I'm not thinking that I'm still in it, going,
Right.
oh, I got to get another client, and
Right. Exactly.
I think that I mentioned that I was working with a gal and we were actually trying to raise the vibration of the town that she followed her husband into. And it's been a real cesspool of very low energy, and the people, the fighting, the cats. It was just, really nasty, and it's evolving. It takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight, but
Right.
in the last probably 6 months, and we've been working on it for maybe 7 years. So it's been slow, but these energies, these patterns in the earth are deeply rooted, and they go back hundreds of years. And to turn that around, it takes a while, but it is worth it. And it's one person at a time. And I think, Barbara, you mentioned, being an artist, every time you get a new client, it's a new palette. You've never done exactly that pattern before, and it's thrilling. It's absolutely thrilling to pick them apart, shake them out, and dust them off, and send them out to play a whole lot healthier. And it's a privilege, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Yeah. My next thing though is going to be, in terms of a learning curve, is going to be 5G, because they're rolling out 5G very soon in our area, and that's going to really impact people. And there's no research on it because the telecommunications companies have quelled all the research. But it definitely is going to affect everyone's nervous systems and our brains. And so I'm very interested in okay, now what are we going to do? Now what do we stay healthy and protect our nervous systems and our organs and, our brains, so that, we still can function. So that I'm going to be doing just a lot of personal research into that.
Well, Barbara, if you get some excellent clarity on that,
yes,
let me know, and I'll email everybody, and we'll have a 5G focus group
right,
update.
Right.
That would be well worth doing.
Yeah.
And then Betsy, I wanted to mention one suggestion for you.
What's that?
And that is that I was on the Monday call with Raymond Grace. It was a water dowsers call, and since he was on it, I wanted to attend. he was going. He had a client who was a Russian, was a concert artist who was doing a Russian tour, and of course, I think he was like a rock band type thing. So he'd go into these Russian venues where there's a bunch of rock music energy, and and they're terribly littered with entities and
Yep.
bad news. So what he would do is he would clear that space of all the entities before the guy came in and did his concert. So it was safe for him to do his concert and stuff like that, and then he'd do the next place for him. So I'm just suggesting that maybe in that town that you're working on, if you set up a portal for a general portal in a like public area for entities to get rid of all the entities in the town, and invite them to come in, and you'll send them on to the best places and get the angels to help you and your spiritual guides to assist you, and do a major entity clearance of the area. I think that you'll find that rather than trying to redo the earth energies will help the people improve dramatically.
Right. Well, we do deal with those weird looking things that show up every time and tap on the wall and make little tinkling noises here and there, or bangs. I mean, we're really enmeshed in it.
Yeah, but I've from time to time done like a major clearance of an area in which I set up a giant vortex, and then I set up all the protection around it and everything else, and then I get all the entities to line up. It's an organized affair, and there's legions of angels who are running like the detail and control the lines and everything else, and get rid of immense amount of entities from a particular area.
Mhm.
And I'm just thinking that if the people are not very good and whatever, they may all be affected by a rather low energy frequency area, which has a lot of entities. So
Right.
it's something for you to consider, just to so that you don't have to do them one house at a time. You
Oh,
can
right.
do the whole doggone.
No, we're doing it town-wide. It's a garage sale, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, just to
Great.
suggest.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
do have another question. I have a friend with the cellar with the water. When they were working on the town water, there was a shift, and I was part of the Dowsers water work up in Danville, where they moved the stream that was going through the basement. And I'm just, because I'm not a regular Dowser, I'm not sure where to start. Who would I ask? Call Danville and talk to them probably. But
What are
this
you
gal
looking to do?
moves the stream of water that has shown up in
Is
this
it
gal.
under a piece of property?
It's in her cellar. It was a dry cellar it's a very old house. It was a dry cellar for years, and then something shifted. And it may not run water all year long, but in the spring, there's a lot of water.
You mean it's actually running
Flowing.
through her basement?
Yes, yes.
You know
And
what? I would call Dr. Patrick McManaway.
we know Dr. Patrick, okay?
Yes, because he can move streams,
Yeah.
and he's extremely conscious about it, because he had a very bad experience when he was a younger dowser of moving a stream that was causing issues in a house. and because he moved the stream, an apple orchard went dry. That was, you know, the old stream, the original placement fed that fed the whole apple orchard. And when he
Right.
moved, that apple orchard went dry. So he's extremely cautious about, can we move this? And if we can, what's the best place to move it so it doesn't, because you've got to consider what's downstream.
Right. I really appreciate that, Barbara, because
Yeah.
I took the course with him this summer in
Right.
August, and
Yeah.
he lives here in Vermont. So,
Yeah. Does.
you know, he's half an hour north of me.
Right. Right.
Lovely. Wonderful suggestion.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara. See, now this is the benefit of the mastermind approach.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, that's why I'm not quite ready to give it up, because we're just getting to this point where we're where I'm feeling chit-chatty and ask the questions. You know, you've done a nice job, Robert, in pulling it together. So you're not off the hook yet, but maybe
Okay.
not.
Well, I'm off. As far as I'm concerned, I'm off the hook.
Okay. All right. Barbara, you're busy, so I'll miss you.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if anybody, Barbara, I'm serious about that. When you get this 5G thing going, let us
Yeah.
know, okay?
Yeah. If we come back online and I have a little tinfoil hat on, you know, you'll know what.
Okay.
Listen, as Dowsers, people already roll their eyes.
I know.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a very wonderful Thanksgiving, Christmas, and
Thank
then our big New Year. So
Big New Year, and good luck with your looking for officers and people to support the community.
Yes.
oh yeah. Well, it's
Okay.
coming together.
It
It's coming
is.
together
Wonderful.
on that subject, and I won't keep anyone for but 1 second. And that is the American Society of Dowsers, from my standpoint, has gone through a rather tumultuous period in which we've had presidents, and then people have gotten mad at them, and it's been an unhappy circumstance, and there's been a lot of backbiting,
Yeah.
and so right now we find the American Society of Dowsers without very much leadership, and so the nominating committee is trying to get trustees to fill these positions, and then the trustees would be like a board of directors in which they would participate and direct the organization. Then they, out of that, elect a president and vice president and treasurer out of the out of the trustees to do. So my objective, my intention is to load up the American Society of Dowsers with a lot, revitalize it with a new set and a lot of people, not a small group of people, but a lot of people, in hopes that a good chunk of them will take and be enthusiastic and be active workers in the organization, and hopefully, as we've done, get along. I mean, I don't understand why people don't get along. I mean, we're supposed to be, if we can't get along, who the heck can get along?
Right.
So,
Right.
but in any case, so there's my report on the American Society of Dowsers nominating committee. So what you'll see at the conference, if you're there, or you'll hear somewhere along the line, if we've been successful in getting a lot of people in there. So
Great. Look forward to that.
okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you one and all the people who've participated in our focus group we greatly appreciate everyone's input and wish everyone the very best success and victory in all their activities.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You're
Bye-bye. Till the
Bye-bye.
next time.
Yes.
Thank you.